I've been hearing rumors about a fourth Descendants movie ever since the third film came out in 2019. I never watched any of the movies at the time and I really had no idea what it was about. It wasn't until years later that I actually decided to watch the trilogy, and I was surprised to find out that it was actually a really well written series, way more than what I was expecting out of a Disney Channel movie. The fact that they brought together a bunch of characters from different Disney movies was definitely a big part of the appeal for me personally. Obviously, if you watch the channel, you would know how much of an advocate I am for the idea that all Pixar movies are connected to each other. So for this to be the case for Disney also just opens up so much possibility for theories. And those songs too, they just get stuck in your head. Anyway, I saw the trailer for the new Rise of Red movie that's supposed to be out this July, and I'm really hoping that it turns out good. But I can't make a judgment call just yet. What I can say is that I actually applaud them for being bold enough to move away from the main cast and focus on new characters. Their story was finished and done with, but there's still so much that can be done with this franchise though. When the first movie debuted in 2015, that was solid confirmation that all of Disney's fairy tale movies were taking place in an interconnected universe. The original trilogy introduced us to this idea, and now they just need to build on it and make this into a larger universe. This movie needs to be what Wish should have been. Wish, just like Descendants, tried to create a Disney cinematic universe. Difference is, they played it way too safe and did nothing with it. So I'm really hoping that maybe, just maybe, it was strategic. Wish serves as an origin story to the Disney universe and sets up the story of how things like the Wishing Star, Neverland, and Zootopia came to be. Being that Wish is technically the first movie in the timeline, maybe Disney's planning on using the Descendants franchise to really explore the lore deeper. Which is why they only touched on these concepts in Wish. Like, it's already there, it's already official, it's been for almost a decade. But I think they've been slowly but surely building up a storyline that's gonna finally come to the forefront in this movie. So what makes this one different from the last three? It's not a Disney Channel movie. Like I said, the Descendants movies were better than I expected coming from Disney Channel. Not to dig at Disney Channel or anything, but obviously you get a lot more out of a higher budget movie that's going to be in theaters than you would from something that's only going to be seen on TV. And on top of that, mainly by little kids. And I feel like it actually held the movies back to an extent. Not that it made a difference as far as the storyline or anything, but you can tell that the budget wasn't there. The settings kind of look like a movie set and are usually pretty small and closed in, especially on the Isle of the Lost. And the usage of CGI is minimal compared to a blockbuster movie. To give them credit, it did get better as the movies went on because they obviously saw how successful it was, but they still could have taken it further and I think they know that. But not to worry, because this movie is not a Disney Channel movie, it's a Disney Plus movie. And if we've learned anything over the last couple of years, it's that Disney values Disney Plus original content just as much as if it was in theaters. Just look at a movie like Peter Pan and Wendy. Regardless of what you think of the movie, the visuals are definitely there and it could have easily been put into theaters. Even with some of the more recent Pixar movies, Disney chose to put them onto Disney Plus rather than release them in theaters. And in the case of those movies, it was the original intention to give them a theatrical release. My point being that with this being on Disney Plus rather than Disney Channel, the franchise is being given an upgrade, which could in turn mean that the significance of the story lore-wise is of higher importance. This movie could finally bring us into an official Disney cinematic universe. Just take a look at the summary they gave us of the plotline. It explains that the movie will be about the daughter of the Queen of Hearts and the daughter of Cinderella traveling back in time using the White Rabbit stopwatch to prevent a coup in Auradon. I don't know about you, but once I hear a mention of time travel, I assume we're talking a big deal in terms of storyline. One of my biggest questions in the original Descendants was just how did all of the villains get contained on the Isle of the Lost? It does seem like a difficult task. And who decided that Belle and the Beast of all people were in charge? If Wish is taking place in the distant past, then Descendants is taking place in the distant future. Imagine that Disney's been setting up the ultimate interconnected storyline for the past 100 years just so that they can give us a live-action culmination through the Descendants movies. And I'm sure that this won't be the last one. Now that they aren't restricted by the original cast, the possibilities are endless. Maybe this was what Disney had in mind for their 100th anniversary. They're just a little late. This movie's also a huge opportunity to introduce new characters to the series. We already know that we'll be seeing the daughter of the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland and the daughter of Cinderella. I don't know about you, but Alice in Wonderland is one of my favorite movies ever, and it's nice to see that more Disney movies are being included. What a lot of people don't know is that canonically there are actually a lot more characters in Auradon than were shown in the movies. There was this little animated series called Descendants Wicked World. And it showed, for example, that Alice from Alice in Wonderland also has a kid that goes to Auradon. Maybe we'll see her in this movie too. And there are actually a bunch of new characters in this show. I'm pretty sure that there's actually a book series on Descendants also, not that I've ever read it though, but I'm sure there's plenty of lore packed into those books as well. The Descendants series also brings up the question of just how live-action remakes and spin-offs fit into the universe, because obviously the fairy tale stories of these characters have to be considered canon in order for Descendants to make any sense. But then does that mean that the live-action ones count too? After all, this is a live-action series. Since we know that the daughter of the Queen of Hearts is involved in the movie, and we know that she's from Wonderland, then could that mean that if, let's say, Wonderland is in the movie, it's gonna look like it did in the live-action Alice in Wonderland? Since that movie is technically a sequel to the 1951 movie? There are a ton of questions to be asked, but if there's one thing I can say, it's that of the upcoming Disney projects, this is definitely one to keep an eye on. Anyway, let me know if you're looking forward to seeing The Rise of Red. Thanks for watching, and bye.